Hey all you cats and kittens and all you non-binary fittens, it's your boy, DBiddles. Welcome to ChatBots, where I put together a plastic model kit based on a mecha anime, and while doing that, I talk about that model's anime, and then clumsily work it into a main topic of discussion. I'm sure you all know how it goes here on ChatBots. Or at least, you think you do. Complacent fools, I'm switching it up on you. Instead of plastic models and gunpla, today is the inaugural episode of a sub-series where I assemble plastic interlocking construction bricks into robots, and I'm calling this sub-series the Brick Edition. You know, I don't actually do too many of these construction brick sets anymore. I'm pretty lukewarm on them. If I want a Voltron, for example, I'd rather have a deluxe figure of Voltron rather than a blocky Voltron made out of bricks, like some kind of overly pixelated PlayStation 1 graphics. But I do like Bionicles. My younger brother and I were both pretty heavily into Bionicle way back in the day. Had almost every set up to a certain point sometime around like the Maori aquatic figures maybe? But sadly Bionicle is defunct and they've destroyed all the molds they used for making the sets. Pity too, because when I told my wife about the idea for the Brick Edition, she was all, "Oh, have you ever heard of Bionicle? You could do some of those." So you know, there's some further appreciation for Bionicle, and also proof, if proof be needed, that my wife is fucking rad. Anyways, I figured that since these are pretty small sets that I could maybe do some quicker content covering one or more short topics that I want to talk about, but that I don't think are big enough for a full ChatBots episode. Maybe they will be someday, but for right now they're just some shorter thoughts. Maybe someday I'll also get some actual Bionicles to assemble on camera too, that'd be pretty sick. So are you guys watching Chainsaw Man? I don't like to fall into overhyping the newest, most popular things. I prefer to play it cool and hipster-like when it comes to things that get really popular. So when everybody on the internet started stroking themselves off preemptively, declaring this the next best thing ever in the lead up to the anime release, I'll admit I was skeptical. But even I've got to admit, I'm pretty stoked about Chainsaw Man. There's so much to like about it. I really like how it's able to evoke that kinda grimy, ultraviolet feel of a lot of 90s and 80s OVAs like Doomed Megaopolis or Genocyber or Ninja Scroll, without ever feeling too sleazy, which is, a trap that a lot of those old things used to fall into. I like that the story doesn't bog itself down with explaining lore and battle tactics and just lets you experience it. I like how the female characters feel like characters and not just waifu figurines with copy-pasted stock personalities. I like how the main character is allowed to be a dumbass nice guy shonen protag, but his dumbness manifests as him being uneducated rather than him not paying attention, and his niceness is rationalized and pragmatic and thought out. I like how it's able to be smart and have real interesting things to say, while still allowing itself to be unrefined, so they can talk about living your life in a self-destructive way for the sole sake of revenge in one scene, and then in the next scene they can participate in a testicle kicking contest. I like how it feels both new and old school at the same time, possibly due to a lot of the plot and character beats being a mashup of Devilman, Parasite, and Naruto. And I like how it's actually funny, and not just anime funny, you know? It's not just, "Oh no, I tripped and fell and my hand landed on the tsundere girl's titty and then she beat me up. Cue laugh track." I think Denji and Power and that one guy who looks like Mads Mikkelsen are a fucking riot. And I love watching them play off each other. And I like Aki a lot too. I like how they were able to make a Sasuke to Denji's Naruto, the edgy, emo, pretty boy prodigy, but have him be sincerely sympathetic with clear motivation and an understanding of what makes him tick from early on, so he's not just the grumpy straight man to the main character with a big post-it note on his face that reads, "Explain backstory later." And I know that this idea of a starter anime gets thrown around a lot, and it's kinda stupid if you compare it to, like, non-Japanese media. Like what? Do I need to watch a few shows like Family Matters and New Girl and The Mandalorian before I'm ready for the hard shit like Twin Peaks or Max Headroom or The Andy Milonakis Show. But like, for what it's worth, I think Chainsaw Man makes for some pretty good normie bait if you were wanting to expose them to a particular flavor of weeb shit that you're not sure if they're ready for. Or maybe it works as like an intermediary step between Death Note and JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. You see, you sucker them in with Ghost in the Shell and Spirited Away, and then you move on to Chainsaw Man, with the goal of eventually working them up to being ready for Pop Team Epic, or Super Milk Chan, or Charge Man Ken. Anyways, check that shit out if you haven't. It's dope. Mr. Beast is at it again. I talked about him in my very first video for this channel in response to that time he cured 1,000 blind people of their blindness. This time he's curing 1,000 deaf people of their deafness. Nice. Also, I guess one of his friends who appears in his videos with him recently came out as trans. And of course, a bunch of people made a big stink about how this will be problematic for Mr. Beast because ew, gross trans people. And then Jimmy the Beast told these creeps to fuck off and eat shit because he supports his trans friend. Also nice. Yeah, that's about it, really. Look, I don't want to make a habit of talking about Beastly Jimbo, but since I kind of cut my teeth talking about a similar story, I guess I ought to at least mention that he's doing it again, and clarify my position on him for all the disciples of the Beast who might be watching. I'm again very much in favor of Jimmy Bobimmy doing his thing, but can we just put what he's actually doing into perspective? Let's scale this down to the level of yours truly, small-time everyman, DBiddles. Imagine if I filmed myself going to my local soup kitchen and filmed myself giving them $500, which isn't a lot, but it's a decent amount for me, and then filmed myself spending the rest of the day helping out at the soup kitchen. Maybe occasionally I picked out a couple of those people to talk to one-on-one, gave them like some socks and underwear and some candy, had them smile and say, "ChatBots is awesome," you know, in front of my camera, and then imagine I did all that and then posted the video onto my channel. I'm basically doing good deeds for clout, you know? Like, it's still good stuff that I'm doing, but I'm doing it specifically to show off and potentially profit from it. And then, as for deliberately not being mean to a trans person whom he's been friends with for a long time, yeah, I don't know. Imagine there was some big spider at my family reunion, and half my family freaked out and told me to kill it, but instead I put it in a cup and tossed it outside, and then my grandma said, "You know, it got in once. It could get in again. You should have just smushed it." And then I told her to settle down and eat her pumpkin pie. Yeah, that's about it. I don't know. I again think these are chill things that he's doing, but forgive me if I'm not super stoked on this guy for being a basically decent human being, especially since he's pretty clearly trying to show off while doing it. And forgive me for yet again pointing out how badly we fucked up as a species that there's even a need for this level of decency, and that it's not just standard operating procedure that we take care of people's needs and treat them as equal despite being different. Anyways, unless he does something particularly interesting in the future, don't expect me to comment on him again. So, remember a few months ago when we all laughed at Kid Rock for throwing a bitch fit about Bud Light having a trans influencer do a one-time promo vid for her followers, and then he shot a bunch of beer cans with a machine gun to show what a big, strong, cool, totally unbothered, normal guy he was? I know that in our always online 24-hour news cycle, I might as well be recounting the events of the Anglo-Zanzibar War of 1896 for all the relevancy it has at this point. Just like it probably doesn't matter to anyone when I point out that the same people who got mad about Bud Light were mad about Hershey's the month prior, and Disney, and Nike, and M&M's, and Carhartt, and the NFL, and Target, and shaving razors, and Call of Duty, and like a billion other idiot things, all within a few weeks of each other. But let's come back to Kid Rock for a minute, because I want to rip on him a bit more. Partly because he deserves it, and partly because it's easy. I liked Kid Rock a whole lot more when the only times I had to think about him were when one of his only 2 songs were being used in the Call of Duty commercials, or when I had to change the radio station because the other of his 2 songs came on. Now this guy, who's a combination of the worst elements of hip-hop and outlaw country, this Marshall Mathers that you bought off Wish.com, this washed-up has-been edgy rock star, is appearing on your grandparents' favorite establishment news channel to talk with Tucker Carlson about how kids today got no values, am I right? You know, his Cool Guy Machine Gun video might as well have been him taping a picture of Dylan Mulvaney to a pillow and then punching it, going, take that and that. That's what I'll do to you if you ever dare make a commercial with the product that I like again. And like, can we just also acknowledge how lame it is to get this big mad and defensive over a product like Bud Light? Bud Light's the Burger King of beers. Holy shit. What's the next quality product you're gonna get punished for daring to include trans people in their marketing? Wrigley's Juicy Fruit? Angel Soft? Decaf Coffee? Dinty Moore? Oh, heavens no! I'm so emotionally invested in the financial status of these awesome brands. Actually, I do know which brand they chose next. It was Call of Duty. Man, imagine playing Call of Duty in the year 2023. That's an L, dog. That's a serious L. There are better games you could be playing. There are better games you could be boycotting. Holy shit. Call of Duty? Damn. Man, I didn't even fucking know who Dylan Mulvaney was until this happened. Apparently she was in, like, the stage play of the Book of Mormon before transitioning. I'd heard the name before, but they were just, you know, some nebulous minor celebrity whom I wouldn't have been able to pick out of a lineup or tell you anything about. Same with Lizzo, same with Sam Smith, same with Lil Nas X, same with like a dozen people whom I learned about basically against my will. Montero is pretty sick though. Keep up the good work, Lil Nas. I like that one a lot. And if I didn't know about them until their controversies, how do these reactionary shit biscuits keep hearing about them first? Do they just like set Google alerts for any time a queer person or a black person does a thing? Not even like a real big important political thing, but like makes a song that gets popular or shows up in a commercial or plays with some antique. Because that's fucking pathetic! These people only get more famous because some right-wing knobgoblin got all fucking butthurt about them being just a person who's mildly successful. But as giga cringe as Kid Rock's temper tantrum was, let's not forget that it was also an implicit threat. He was basically saying, "Hey all you queer folks, look at how much I like shooting my guns. Look at how mad I am that you exist. And think about that the next time you dare show your faces." And if that's not bad enough, you guys hear about Jordan Neely? You know, that unarmed, non-violent black homeless guy who was having a mental breakdown on a New York subway, and then some random dude put him in a chokehold for 15 minutes, and then Jordan Neely died because some asshole put him in a chokehold for 15 minutes? Yeah, I guess Kid Rock is donating a lot of money to that guy's legal defense. I don't know, kinda seems like there might be a pattern here. And besides the bigotry, do you really think that Kid Rock has anything in common with the church grannies he's trying to appeal to by appearing on Tucker fucking Carlson? Do you really think he's trying to protect the kids when the lyrics to his song Cool Daddy Cool include the line, and I quote, young ladies, I like 'em underage. See, some say that's statutory, but I say it's mandatory." Cool lyrics, Kid Rock. Cool, very cool lyrics. Awesome. Yeah, that sure doesn't sound like protect the kids to me. It just sounds like Kid Rock is a hateful creep who wants to LARP as the cowboy his songs want you to refer to him as, and who might have a thing for underage girls. You know, with all the celebrities getting outed as creeps these days, Kid Rock might want to shut the fuck up and keep his head down, lest someone he met on tour remembers waking up with their panties slid down around their ankles after going backstage to meet him. That's not an accusation, mind, but certainly seems like it could be a possibility. Or maybe, the federal government decides to talk to him about those top secret documents that Donald Trump showed him, and that talk involves one of those Men in Black neuralizers that will turn his brains into dog shit, as if there'd be any difference. Fuck off, Kid Rock, and stop reminding people you exist. God damn, dude. Speaking of, it's been kind of a rough year for high-profile scumfucks. Started the year real strong with Tristan and Andrew Tate getting arrested immediately after being thoroughly humiliated by Greta Thunberg on Twitter. But since then, we've seen Donald Trump get indicted multiple times and lose a couple court cases already. And that was before the big boy felony-level espionage charges popped off. And we've seen Fox News have to settle with Dominion. We've seen Tucker Carlson get ousted and get sued by Fox News after he tried to restart his show again on Twitter. And we've seen Ron DeSantis getting bodied in polls and trolled by Disney. And we've seen Matt Walsh get hacked and demonetized, now that I'm thinking about it. And we've seen Steven Crowder get exposed as a profoundly weak and disgusting man. And we've seen further proof of Jordan Peterson's mental decline. Chinese milking machines, anyone? And we've seen Elon Musk feeding his humiliation fetish. And we've seen George Santos probably getting expelled from Congress. And we've seen Pat Robinson drop stone dead. And before the Tates, we saw Alex Jones sued for $1 billion and his phone turned over to the feds. And we saw Kanye West losing his mind, and we saw Nick Fuentes and Milo Yiannopoulos being the miserable, scrounging little bottom feeders that they always are. None of this has really hurt any of them yet in any meaningful capacity. Except for Pat Robinson, who's hopefully being sodomized by Satan's thorny lava-spewing cock as we speak. But fingers crossed, but breath not held, that maybe some more misery has rained down on these creeps. It's nice to see shitty people posting some L's for a change. I don't believe in slow turning wheels of justice or karma or whatever, but it's still nice to see that even in this world of systems that work to disenfranchise us all for the benefit of a few monstrous individuals, that institutionally protected shitbags can still get their noses bloodied as a direct result of their own horribleness every once in a while. And when that happens, it's fun to close your eyes and cross your fingers and wish really, really hard that they suffer some horrible, painful seizure and have to spend the rest of their miserable lives in a vegetative state shitting into a bedpan. If nothing else, it's just reassuring to know that despite it all, the cosmos can occasionally aim a few of its ceaseless kicks to the scrotum at some of the people who deserve it. Henry Kissinger when, though? Blue Beetle trailer dropped. Looks about as cool as any other big superhero movie does these days. George Lopez is in it as the hero's uncle, and he says the line, "Batman is a fascist," in the trailer. Now, while I disagree with that statement for a number of reasons, I do understand why someone like George Lopez would feel that way in universe. Batman's a vigilante, and even if you don't know his secret identity, you gotta know he's wealthy if he can afford all those wonderful toys to use in chasing down bank robbers and drug dealers. So, some unaccountable rich guy beating up people substantially poorer than him? I get it. YouTuber Thought Slime has a video debunking the whole Batman is a fascist idea, and I really like it. I really like most of Thought Slime's videos, but it's been privated or something, so the only way to watch it is with the link I've provided in the description. So if you want to see what actually good YouTube content is supposed to look like, you can check that out after you finish watching me. Just be sure to tell Thought Slime that DBiddles sent ya. But since we're on the subject, can I just say to all those people who agree with Uncle Lopez's statement that y'all need to chill the fuck out? Yes, I too have a higher than an 8th grade education. I too have read The Dark Knight Returns by closeted authoritarian Frank Miller. And I too have borne witness to the George W. apologia that is the Christopher Nolan films. Give some of us Batman fans credit. We know about that shit, we just don't think it's representative of Batman. I mean, one of those is literally a dystopian take on the character. As in, this is Batman gone wrong. I'm not asking you to love Batman as much as I do. I'm not even asking you to like him. Just please, for the love of God, stop posting Batman's a fascist, actually, under every goddamn piece of content that he's in. It's not as endearing as you think it is. We get it. In the real world, billionaires are bad. But you know what else goes on in the whimsical realm of superhero comics that isn't reflective of the real world? People having alien superpowers, or magic space rings, or the blessings of the Greek gods. So suspend your disbelief for the flying rat man, okay? Christ. Or at the very least, just shut the hell up and stop pretending like you're smart because you don't like comic book superheroes. God. And hey, while I'm telling people to cool it, Snyder Bros, listen up. Please, please, please pick a new thing to make your entire personality. You guys are so embarrassing. It's not just that you guys are obsessed with some incredibly mediocre movies, which is fine. Not everyone likes the same stuff, and it's okay to like lame things, as I am evidence of. It's not just that you guys are ride or die for the world's okayest Superman actor, which is also fine. It's not just that you cannot get over the fact that you will never see a conclusion to your favorite movies. It sucks, I know the feeling. It's not just that you frequently and confidently demonstrate how little you know about the actual characters involved. You guys really don't send your best. And it's not just that you copy-paste 100 fucking hashtags into every one of your posts. It's not just that you keep insisting that WB sell an extremely valuable IP to a competitor who might turn around and make a ton of money off of it. That's not how capitalism works. You don't give stuff away just because you're not using it anymore. It sucks, I know. It's not just that everyone involved, besides like David Ayer, has moved on to other projects. It's not just that you unironically say dumb shit things like, well, at least we have passion for something, unlike all you who are just a bunch of haters, and then immediately turn around and hate on Marvel movies and the upcoming James Gunn films, even though you haven't seen them yet, and all evidence points to James Gunn being pretty good at this superhero media, actually. It's not just that so many of you are reactionary, hateful creeps who have decided to make this single thing the culture war home base hill on which you'll die in 1,000 internet arguments because you're just so big mad at Black Panther and She-Hulk. I've kind of lost where I'm going with this. Anyways, it's all of it. It's a couple dozen abrasive, annoying, insufferable, dumb fuck, mean-spirit examples of toxic fandoms that you guys exemplify, like you get paid to do it. It'd be one thing if you were just some people for whom the Snyderverse was personally very gratifying, and you were disappointed it didn't get a continuation, but y'all just took it too goddamn far instead of taking it on the chin. You guys make toxic fans of so many other things look dignified with your incessant belly aching. And because you fuckers don't know when to quit, every goddamn pop culture media journalism site out there is going to spend the rest of eternity posting weekly articles about some other detail about Zack Snyder's hypothetical other movies based solely off of margin scribbles in some discarded notebook that the man himself probably threw out ages ago. I agree that what he endured, what he suffered that led to him leaving the Justice League movie, no person should ever have to face, and I agree that Joss Whedon sucks, and that what happened to Ray Fisher is very unfair. But Christ on a bike, you guys! There are traumatized mental patients in psych wards who would tell you to move on. Review bombing Brie Larson films is not going to bring the Snyderverse back, but stepping away from it all might bring some semblance of peace back to your troubled minds. And if there are any media journos out there listening to this, I blame you for enabling these goddamn freaks to continue holding on to the past. I blame your constant drip feeding of these stupid, pointless articles about what color Zack Snyder at one point in the film's development considered making Martian Manhunter's underpants. You would never dare make 1,000 goddamn articles revealing scrap production notes or offhand director comments from RoboCop 2014. You're doing this deliberately for engagement. From some of the most unbearably fucking repellent dorks out there. Please, God, I never want to hear the name Henry Cavill again, and I don't even dislike the guy. Just for the love of Krypton, let the grass blades caress your skin and bring you back to sanity. That said, I am now taking this opportunity to launch a new social media campaign petitioning for the completion of the Gary Goddard-verse of the Masters of the Universe films. Or, film, singular, because there was only one in 1987. But anyways, I think that the film is actually a masterpiece, and that Gary Goddard and David Odell really get He-Man as a character in a way that no other creator has before or since. And that character was played to perfection by the hugely talented and multifaceted Dolph Lundgren, who got cheated out of the role of a lifetime. Goddard's a true visionary, and he really grounds the character in the mythos and finally makes He-Man relevant by bringing his battle against evil to 1980s California instead of chaining the franchise to outdated concepts like Eternia and Castle Grayskull. It's way better than anything that all those woke Marvel Disney people could ever come up with. And the fanbase deserves closure to the post-credits cliffhanger where Skeletor pops his head up out of the water and shrieks, "I'll be back!" So that's why I'm demanding that Canon Films sell the property to Paramount Plus so that they can give it and the fanbase the respect we deserve. Hashtag complete the Gary Goddard Masters of the Universe verse. Hashtag Dolph Lundgren is my He-Man. Hashtag Skeletor will be back. This is my whole personality now, and I'm going to bring it up in every goddamn forum on the internet until our demands are met. And there we have it, folks, the Brick Edition. Be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe so you can tune in for the next one. We'll definitely have more regular Chatbots episodes in the future, as well as more episodes like this, so stay tuned for all of that good stuff. I'm DBiddles, coming to you from my channel, Chatbots, and this was The Brick Edition.